Have you ever felt like your parents' love was conditional? Like the attention was only based on a certain aspect of how you showed up or how you interacted with them. Maybe you struggle with setting healthy boundaries in your relationships now, and you start to look back at the past and start to realize that part of that has been affected by your upbringing. Maybe you've wondered if your parents' behavior was normal or maybe it was a sign of something else. Maybe there was something else in your relationship with your parents that predisposed you to being with a toxic person today. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about growing up with a narcissistic parent, how that has a lasting impact on one's emotional and mental health. Maybe today you're watching this and you're going to realize, oh, maybe the person that was in my life that raised me was a narcissist or had narcissistic tendencies. Or you might be on the side thinking, hey, what is going to happen to my kids if they're raised with the partner in my life that's narcissistic? So kind of on both sides. But we're going to discuss some of the differences and some of the things that are going on with a narcissistic parent and how it affects the child's development, and be able to provide some strategies to help you start to move forward with that. And we want to be able to dive into this so you can understand a little bit more, maybe what's happened in your life or what could happen in your kid's life. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness, growth, healing, change, and development. I'm the founder of the Raw Motivations. I'm the creator of the NARC app and the founder and the person who helps guide people through the Clarity Challenge. It's a 45-day investment into you, like daily working on developing habits to help you move forward in the healing and in the abuse that you've been through or that you're currently in, and trying to make sense of it. When people go through and they do the work, we see them break the trauma bond, eradicate the triggers, and move through rumination like they've never done before to get to the place where they're happy, healthy, healed, whole, and moving forward in their healing journey into a growth mindset. If you want to look into that, go to claritychallenge.net. If you want to work with me one-on-one personally, you can go to rawmotivations.com, click one-on-one, we'll talk then. All right, so diving in really quick, let's look at this. So one of the first things that happens in a narcissistic parent-child relationship is one of the popular ones is emotional neglect. Sometimes this will be in the form of abandonment, okay? But mainly the one aspect I want to focus on first is emotional neglect. When you have a child with a narcissist, or when you're growing up in a narcissistic family, what happens is no emotions. No emotions for you to be able to process in a healthy way, for them to be able to hold space, to be able to help you process, to be able to help you grow. It's one of the things that I'll talk to parents now that says, hey, the way that you can be one of the best parents you can possibly be is to hold space for your kids' emotions, to help them process that, to help them understand that, because they're not going to get that from the other side. Maybe you grew up in a household where your emotions were discounted. And then now in a relationship, it feels exactly the same. Oftentimes it feels normal. A lot of times growing up in a narcissistic family means that your needs aren't met, that your needs are neglected. The parents' needs and their desires come first and above all other things. So like you don't feel like you actually matter. You don't feel like your emotions, your feelings, your desires, the things that you're actually trying to understand and work through in life actually matter. At this point, you start to develop oftentimes a piece of abandonment, understanding that you are actually unimportant, that your needs, your thoughts, and opinions are only subservient to if it actually serves the narcissist in that moment. Now, with this aspect of feeling abandoned and unimportant, a lot of times it's going to lead you down this path of developing these feelings of worthlessness, that you don't actually have worth. Your worth only derives from what you actually achieve that makes the other person look good. So when you have this sense of worth of like, now I'm worthy enough because I did something, then the parent typically doesn't notice it. This will affect your self-esteem. This will start to break it down. This will make you go to a place where you're constantly looking for approval. Sometimes people say like they become people pleasers. But it's this aspect of looking for this approval over and over and over, but it's never enough. Did you have a relationship with one of your parents where you kept trying to show up in a certain way saying, hey, this is me. Like, I'm actually achieving this. I'm doing what you want, and it not being enough? And it's still seeming to fall short of the things that they say that you need to do. And that's number one. It's the idea of like emotional neglect and also abandonment. Second thing that happens inside a parent narcissistic relationship is you have to be able to understand the second piece here, which is oftentimes overprotection and enmeshment. A lot of times they'll go hand in hand. Now, this is not the overbearing side. This is the overprotecting, sometimes the over-enabling. The overprotection and the enmeshment piece ends up being where they become super protective over you, oftentimes creating this unhealthy attachment. Like this unhealthy, you'll see it at times where there's an unhealthy attachment where you become the person that replaces the partner. You become the person that had to deal with their feelings, deal with their emotions to a level that you didn't need to and shouldn't be placed upon you as a child growing up. A lot of times this will lead to a place where you have a lack of independence, where you don't actually feel like you're your own person. Like you feel smothered and unable to actually express your own opinions and feelings. Like think of it this way, like sometimes in the overprotective realm, the parent is going to get to the place where they're going to refuse to let you make even decisions. Like they'll just get mad at you of like, you can't disagree with me. You're not allowed to disagree with me. I'm the parent. I know better. And they're going to get upset when you don't actually agree with them. This overprotection honestly looks more from the outside of just control. Controlling you to be able to modify and make sure that you actually fit in the mold and the version that you're actually supposed to be. And we see this happen over and over and over where a narcissistic parent will make it so the other person doesn't have a right to say anything, doesn't make any decisions, isn't allowed to do anything, and the child's no different. The third one, which happens in all aspects of narcissistic relationships, is gaslighting and manipulation. Narcissistic parents typically use gaslighting and manipulation to control the child's thoughts and emotions. This is especially harmful at a young age. It's harmful at any age, but especially at a young age because it leads to this confusion, this self-doubt of like, wait a second, like what is actually true? Is this right? Is this not right? What am I actually doing? And oftentimes this will develop even anxiety in the child at a young age. Like the parent might be like, no, I didn't actually do that. Might invalidate the child's reality or their feelings, making the child actually question their own perception. So like gaslighting is making the person believe an alternate version of reality than what's actually true. Parents will do this with their kids. They're like, oh, you just did that. No, I didn't. Because they don't want to look bad. And for who? They don't want to look bad for a child. That is how more narcissists sometimes get developed. That is how more people get developed to be in a narcissistic relationship because they don't see people taking accountability and owning the emotions and feelings that are actually going on. Now, what does this impact look like for you now? A big piece of it might be you struggle to form and maintain relationships. Now, this could be relationships in general. This could be only getting into toxic relationships. There's a balance between all of them. Growing up with a narcissistic parent may make it challenging for you to actually form and have good relationships in adulthood. Struggling mainly, think of it this way, struggling mainly with boundaries. One of the biggest aspects of like, I'm not able to actually work through this because I don't know who I am. Because when I set a boundary, people always break it. Because I can't stand up for myself. I don't even know the concept of standing up for myself. Maybe it's developed trust issues where you're not sure who you can actually trust because the primary figures in your life were not there to be able to hold up a good image of what trust actually should look like. So you have trust issues, you have vulnerability issues. Like you might be at a place where you struggle now to set healthy boundaries in a romantic relationship because you didn't have any boundaries growing up. Parents didn't respect those. They didn't have a clue of what those boundaries were, so they didn't really care. Okay? A lot of times when you have someone who's grown up in a narcissistic household, they'll get to the place where they won't seek help, they won't seek healing, and a lot of times they'll start passing down the same harmful behaviors and patterns to their own children. Doesn't necessarily mean they're narcissists, okay? Sometimes this happens. They might continue this cycle of narcissism, affecting and negatively impacting future generations. Like they might start to pick up behaviors and ideas and thoughts that happen in this. A lot of times I've said, like, if you grew up in a narcissistic family, you're more predisposed to either become a narcissist or get with a narcissist. Because those habits become what you self-identify with, and you get to the place of being like, oh, like, this is what's going on. Like, I'm running from shame, I'm running from guilt. Or you grow up and this feels normal. Like, love feels this way, it interacts this way, it looks this way. So you're like, this must be who I'm supposed to be. So you get with someone that's exactly the same. So many times when we talk with people and meet with clients that they're like, yes, like I married my dad. Like that is exactly the same person. He acts the same. He does the same things. I didn't realize it. I didn't think that was the case. But now as I look back, they respond the exact same way. They act the same way. There's so many different pieces there. So you need to understand whether you grew up in a narcissistic family or whether you're raising kids and you have a narcissist in your life. Like these things greatly impact over a long period of time. One of the best phrases that I've ever heard, and people don't like it a lot of times, but is that an absent parent is better than a toxic one. Because when you have a toxic parent, it is still an influence. It is still something that is moving in the kid's life to actually pull them to the side, help them get rid of boundaries, enmesh them, overprotect them, or control them. So many different pieces are impacting them. It's something that if you have kids, you need to protect them. Maybe you grew up and you've been in a narcissistic household and you realize, wait a second, now I'm predisposed to actually be with a toxic person because I don't know who I am. I don't have strong boundaries. I'm not sure how to move forward with this. I don't know how to actually work on myself. If that's you, I want to invite you to work with me one-on-one. You can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. Would love to help you move forward and to get a plan, like a scripted out plan of how to establish your boundaries, how to work on you, how to be there for your kids, and to show up as a powerful person, as a beacon of light to your kids, to your relationships, to your family, to be able to help you move forward into a healthy state. If you want to reach out, go to rawmotivations.com. If you're like, I'm not sure about this guy, he's a narcissist. Why should I believe anything he's saying? Check out escapetoxicity.com. It's a 7-day challenge for $7. You can walk through, you can see how we teach. You can see like some of the processes that we actually try to walk you through. If you like that, then you can engage even more. You can graduate from that and move into the next stage of your healing that we have scripted out to help you continue to progress, to change, to develop into the person that you're called to be.